and also have the iconic computing academy in Tsinghua. And Mr. Yao Qizhi also established his own academy, and today he will talk about the challenges actually in front of the AI. Let's welcome Mr. Yao on the stage. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to present here with all of you at the Pujiang Innovation Forum. As we all know, in the past few years, the great contribution made by the artificial intelligence with the great significant changes brought by AI. Having said that, AI is finally the answer to all the challenging questions. That will be the questions we would like to discuss today here with all of you. So I would like to kick off the discussion from the following three areas. First of all, what's the weakness of today's AI technologies? And second, what's the way out? Which will be the future direction for AI? And the third, with the growing role of AI to the whole society, then what may be the potential risks and how we can deal with them? So based on these three areas, I will also discuss with you by sharing some examples. I believe these examples are actually quite representative because actually these are based on the application and the scientific series. And also both of which are quite intertwined and with equal importance. And the questions actually we are raising today are also the key issues facing the whole industry. And for our country, that's also actually the important, we talk about that's the benchmark questions that we need to deal with, and we also need to see whether in the coming futures our AI teams, our AI industries actually made a breakthroughs in all these areas, whether they can actually keep up with the colleagues around the world. So let's get to the first questions. We talk about how strong or how amazing AI can do and what are the bottlenecks. So first of all, I would like to say right now the AI actually is not that stable. We talk about that the equation to the robustness. So we talk about the algorithm actually is quite not stable and actually it's fragile. But we talk about for the computer learning or the machine learning. If we just change a little bit of the picture, actually for human beings, this is not a big deal for us. We still can't really know what it is. But for computers, actually, it may not can tell what it is. So look at this example. So look at the picture. That's a picture of a pig, right? So if you give a very, very small, little annoying factors for human beings, for us, we tell actually it's more or less the same pig, right? But for the AI enabled algorithm, then suddenly it couldn't tell it's the same pig or not. And then they will talk actually it's not a pig, it's a picture of an airplane. So this actually can cause a great issue here. As many studies showed that at least half of the AI technologies, especially that the example we're having here, that's the algorithm for the picture recognition. So if someone actually utilize these kind of the weakness of the machine learning, that maybe cause a great consequences. Another example, we talk about maybe there is a stop sign on the street, which means the cars should stop when they see this sign. If you would like to attack the traffic there, then you just change a little bit the stop sign, then that means that there will be always green lights. So that may cause a great safety issues, right? So this is what we talk about, one of the weakness right now for today's AI technology. That is number one, a robustness. And we talk about that's not the image identification or the film recognition. For now, we look at actually AI is so deeply intertwined with different industries such as the governance, environment, medical care, the ethical area, and also the education. So we talk about actually in different angles of the today's social activities. We always can see AI's presence. Of course, we want AI can be more efficient and more accurate, but at the same time, we also want that the AI technology can be embraced by the wider social standards and also from a legal perspective. Let me also show you another example. So we talk about right now the algorithm based on AI. Sometimes it's really hard to explain. So we talk about actually we use AI, we check so many data, and we come up with an algorithm, and we just use that algorithm widely. Let's say we talk to a commercial company to saying that this one is perfect, this algorithm is really good, and the company would like to use these products, but we cannot really give a good explanation around that algorithm. Let's say if this is a product that can be sold to the mass market, then people really hard to understand, or sometimes that may cause ego niche issues. So let me show you this example. Let's say for a realistic industry, they need to have the housing market, they would like to see that maybe depend on the appraised value of the housings. So say we need to have a system. So based on the advanced data, it come up with a system. So that the system actually could be used by giving a really reasonable pricing. So the people in the industries do not need to really calculate by themselves. So we have that system. If you would like to use that system, then that a seller come to you to say, I want to sell my house. Then based on this system, he can get more or less a price to say, let's say 2 million RMB. Then the seller may have a question mark on that pricing to say whether that may be under-evaluated or underestimated my housing price. So it's reliable so that a system developer may have a question or that not really want me to sell a higher price. So we talk about that system can produce a really sound price, but that really cannot really give a good explanation about how that a system will come up or how that price come up with. So that was, we also talk about the bottleneck for today's AI technology. So of course, we have seen a lot of good aspects of AI, but also at the same time, also it's like a black box. It's a lot of secret things going on inside that black box to say actually within your products, something that maybe not really abide by the law, actually, or a bias to certain group of people. Sometimes these kind of questions actually is so important, because if you really like to apply this to certain products with a higher requirement of a safety or security, then people are actually worried that these kind of product or technology could not be widely applied. So these are two questions and also the examples. And we also talk about That, of course, we have a lot of applications, right? So a lot of things actually is based on our previous algorithm. So talk about 5 or 10 years later, what will be the future application? So where will be the way out for the next generation of AI technology? So one thing we can look at that may be a future way out, that's a reinforcement learning. That may bring some wow to the scientific application. Let me show you by example. That's a drone flying show. So we talk about drones. A fleet of drones. Actually, they can perform a lightning show, or that also maybe apply to the forestry or the agriculture sector. We can see that actually the drone actually can be a really good helper. Of course, it's very complicated application, but a classic a computing system actually know exactly the logic behind. We have so many years of rich experience. In this regard, is in terms of the distributed computation. But let's say in a conflict scenario, by drones, we talk about that maybe in the battlefield, or that's gaming, e-game. Then how we can design the best solution. So before we talk about a fleet of drones, that's a show performed by a group of the drones. It seems more or less like a computer science. That basically that's the relation between human being and nature. So we talk about nature. Actually, it's not hostile to stop you. So any questions actually before we had, it's quite easy to be solved because it's not really in a confrontation situation. We have quite rich experience, but what do we talk about in the future as in the confrontation scenario? So that's maybe between people, between companies. Then the best practice or best solution may be infinite. So we talk about it from a mathematic point of view, then it's quite hard to make any progress in this regard. Then AI may come to the center of the stage, so that the reinforcement learning actually can play a key role in terms of the algorithm in the battle scenario. I believe that could be a direction that may see a faster growth in the coming future. So we talk about the facial recognition. If you actually increase 1%, 2%, the accuracy, that may not that hard, but we talk about if we make a breakthrough in this regard, what I say is the confrontation scenario, then that will be a new era. So we talk about AI technology we would like to apply to any scenario of our daily lives. Then we need to think about the things, the issues, in a more complicated mindset. We not only should think about AI technology, we also need to think about how AI link with other advanced technologies. That's very necessary in order to solve the issues we are facing. Let me show you 2 examples. The first example regarding the privacy protection. AI actually so capable in terms of coming up with any algorithm. Of course, it needs to utilize different kinds of data. Let's say AI needs a different party's cooperation in order to produce a good solution, which means that we have a requirement of secret protection. Luckily, 4 decades ago, scientists already had more or less a research in this regard, and also myself also actually work on this area, so that's related to the encryption. So you can do a lot of algorithm based on that encryption. So people may not really know the raw data. So like the different or the multiple database actually can be joined together, but each party, another party, require others' data information. So this is what we talk about, the multiple databases or the multiple data involved. So different team bring their own data so we can have a good cooperation so that it's really be a quality learning. And also at the same time, we can protect the privacy or security of our data. I believe that's so crucial, especially to the pharmaceutical industry. So we talk about the DA for any new drugs coming to being that's really costly because it required a tons of data. Of course, data also means a lot of values. Different pharmaceutical companies own a large number of data, but of course you cannot rely on single pharmaceutical company to produce one new drug. Otherwise, it's really require a long time. But let's say if we can bring all the available resources together, then that greatly save time and cost. So the ideal situation is that if we can introduce AI algorithm plus a multi-data methods, so everyone's privacy actually is well protected, but we also come up with the best solution. In the past 2 to 3 years, actually, we have already seen the teams from the universities actually had a great progress made in these areas. Like 3 years ago in MIT, Bunny Berger's team actually they had a good collaboration among different teams. So we also look at the AI and the social governance. So that's my second example I would like to share with you. It's not really a scientific issue. It's more about the ideal or the ultimate goal of AI. Because at the very beginning, from day one, what we want is actually if AI can be even and more intelligent than intelligent technologies. So we look at the fast progress made in AI in the previous years. We believe that maybe in the coming future, it's not that far for us to realize that ultra AI. So the people or scientists actually discuss these issues. We not worry about we may not really reach or realize that super or ultra AI. Then the issue actually is that if that super AI is so powerful, how we can control it. Actually started from 1950. Already see the interest around this issue, and John McCarthy starting from 1977. Actually, were asked by the other people about this questions. So say if we want to reach the super AI, then we may need that 5 to 500 years. So it's really unpredictable, and that's really hard to reach. So actually, there are a lot of people discuss about that. Normally, what we discuss about is more the psychological issues or more the philosophy-related issues. But in the recent years, what we actually realize that a super AI should be controllable, where we talk about as a super intelligence. Sylvia Russell from Berkeley University is really cool-hearted. And he said that actually we can make it. But there are 3 principles. Number 1, that should be benefit to others, and the interests of people should be higher than the interests of the machines. And the machine should always be humble and also should be dedicated. So these 3 examples or these 3 principles should be realized by the mathematics and algorithms. So these are my sharings. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now our second keynote speaker is Mr. Shi Yigong. Shi Yigong, the president of Westlake University, vice chairman of the China Association for Science and Technology, and academician of Chinese Academy of Science. In 2013, he actually became a foreign academician of the China Academy of Science and also the U.S. Artificial Academy. And now I welcome Mr. Shi Yigong on the stage. And we will talk about the 8 roles and the responsibilities played by the research-based university. Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to join with everyone here at the Pujiang Innovation Forum. I'm really glad to see many old friends here. And just now, Mr. Yao's speech quite enlightening. Actually, there are a lot of really the rocket science for me, actually. And also, actually, I learned a lot from it. For me, I maybe talk more from a general perspective. Due to the interest of time, I will speak a little bit faster. So actually here, I also would like to share more about the university's role. So we talk more, actually, the China's education industry grows so fast, but not strong enough. Same for the China's technology. We talk about the same for the pool of talents. So we talk about talents, education, technologies that should be produced by universities. The top universities could be a pillar to help us realize this dream. So that's my abstract. Of course, in a way, I cannot summarize the whole picture or the development of China's university history, but if we look at the higher education in China, of course, it's on the top of the list in terms of the number of the schools and the students. So we have the 40 million students right now in universities. And 3 million students above a master degree in the universities. So in total, we can see this large base actually make us really proud. So today is the 72 anniversary of the establishment of New China, also the 42 years of China's reform and opening up. This is something we can proud of. We look at the global ranking. Different institutes actually have their own rankings that may have some of the not really reflect the full picture. But we look at the general ranking here. So the China's strengths actually also changed dramatically, which we can tell from these ranking is that we're not that strong enough in terms of the comprehensive strengths of the universities. Then we talk about China's technologies, as the Minister Yao Qizhi mentioned from the Ministry of Science and Technology. Of course, the tremendous progress have been made in the technology. We talk about investment in R&D. So by the end of last year, actually, it surpassed 2 trillion yuan, ranking second around the world. So we look at the basic science, basic research last year also surpassed that's the 2 trillion. So we also rank at number 2. So we look at the number of dissertations. And not only look at the number of the dissertations, we also look at the number of patents. Actually, China has a great progress, but that's just the quantitative perspective. If we just look at the numbers, and China actually approaching our way to a larger country in terms of this technology or education. However, we always ask questions. So what's the innovative capability of China's technology? So we look at the different international institutions regarding China's innovative capability, and that these actually is look at the innovative index, or we look at this is actually look at the from the 34 to 14, and that's the in terms of the global innovative index released by the global innovation innovation and also the intelligence protection institution. We talk about actually it's quite hard for China to rank within top 10, so which means we are not a strong country already. We are on our way to becoming a stronger one. And we talk about the talents in China. We should give credit to China's reform and opening up back to 1978, the December 26th. Actually, that's the big day for China because in 1978, actually in the third plenary session of the 11th China's party-centric committee, the Congress, actually we made the China's reform and opening up as the country's strategy, and actually on December 26th, the very first group of the Chinese students actually going out and arrived in the United States. So actually, I left the Hongqiao Airport in 1990. In that year, actually, 20,000 students made their way to the United States to study doctor degrees. And we talk about these overseas students actually also bring a lot of benefits to China because they also received quite good education. So we look at actually the students from Tsinghua University and Peking University. Actually, they took quite a large number of the students from China to the United States. So if you look at the changes made, that's So this is the graph we showed. The horizontal is the age. That's the age of people apply for the manager title of the projects founded by the Nature. So we look at actually with the China's reform and the opening up, actually that's bring a great change to China's talent pool, and that will be the power to propel the China's technology moving forward. Having said that, where are the weakness? We look at the structure of a talent pool. We talk about number-wise, we're ranking at top of the world, but that's a really large base at the bottom. But we look at the people actually cream on top. That's really few. So for a large population base like China, we talk about that we need to have a stronger hand, especially at the top of the pyramid. We talk about the changes actually already happened. And we talk about a role actually our university can play, or the research-based university can play. We talk about the emerging industry actually all coming from the breakthrough made in the core technology. The core technology actually is also should based on the original scientific research, and all these actually made by the top scientists. Top scientists actually you can find them from the top universities or the institutions affiliated to the top universities. I will now go into details, but actually from the Power Houston Institute, MIT, University of Cambridge, NIS, Princeton, we look at their team, actually quite lean institute, either in the university or affiliated to a certain universities. Their size quite small, but they can produce a profound changes to the whole world in terms of technologies. So let me give you two examples. So we look at the technology or the progress made in the progress of the monoclonal drug. Actually, these actually is coming from the very basic research, and then it's created to a large industry. In the past 200 to 300 years, actually always be the same logic, but actually we should be really patient to wait for the things to happen. So talk about the genome sequencing. Right now, the size of this industry not really reached to the trillion industry, but actually we can tell it's maybe initiated from the Rosberg, or that maybe from the Sanger, because he actually innovated the DNA technology. So we talk about that maybe it's be easier for DNA structure to be sequenced. But still, we look at the top scientists or the talents actually should give credit to university, and also to look at the universities in the United States. They have their own features in different size, but they have their role be played. Like University of Rockefeller, actually their faculty size just 75. California Science University, actually faculty size 285. That for the University of Stanford is 1,500. So the size, if we put under the context of China, this is really a small university, but we look at they play a key role in leading the global science and technology development. So for this one, let's take a university in the United States as an example. So 50% of the governmental budget actually goes to the universities because they are the key drivers in terms of the science and technology development. Then back to the Westlake University. The whole background of the establishment actually should give the credit to the China's reform and opening up strategy. So 5 years ago, a group of people, we decided to create the Westlake University and also choose Hangzhou as our base because this is a quite pioneering base in terms of China's science and technology development. So we talk about we want the Westlake actually can play as a bridge role to link East and West, and also the base and also bridge within China. So this is actually quite a new type of school. Actually, it's founded privately but supported by the government. Of course, that we follow the international practice. We only have the service department, no the administrative department. So the quite big advantages we have here. 90% of the faculty are staff from overseas. The average age is quite young. Actually, 70% is below 40 years old. So far, we have received the 10,000 applications. Right now, our faculty staff around 137. That's a doctoral supervisors. So our size actually is quite lean, but you look at the faculty capabilities really strong. But of course, besides faculties, we also need to rely on the good students because they are the one going forward to take the social responsibilities. So we work with the University of Zhejiang and also the Fudan University, recruit the 4 cordials, and we actually also this year have the students overseas. We also have our own the cultivation system as well as the enrollment system. So the top faculty, top students, we will foresee the good results produced by the talent. And we also created a world-leading platforms and laboratories. So the faculty staff and also the students can also do their research work in these kind of facilities. Who also received great support from Zhejiang government. So for our each faculty staff, so we will see actually for your promotion will not depend on your number of the dissertation or the articles released on the magazines, but we look at the your role of your research. If that's say that there is no like your kind of DA projects, that whether there will be a gap in that certain area. We hope that the area can play their role to propel that DA development of the whole industry. So we're not really look at the number of DA documents they released. So we not really focus on the impact factors. We look at their researching results. Of course, we will also look at the commercialization of our research results and hope that the can play a role in promoting the local and national development. As a new research type, schools actually is funded by private sectors but supported and endorsed by the government. We want to establish a new kind of the educational system, and that is also can create a new criteria in terms of the innovation, and we also would like to cultivate a group of young scientists that can shoulder the social responsibilities. I believe in the coming future, maybe you cannot find the good numbers based on the current criteria, but you will see the core technologies or the innovations that actually produced from Xihu or the Westlake universities. And also thank you everyone for your long-term support. Thank you very much. Now please allow me to invite Mr. Wu Manqing. Mr. Wu Manqing is the General Manager of China Electronics Technology Group Corporation and academician of Chinese Academy of Engineering. He also the directors in terms of the online the securities. And Mr. Wu will talk about the collaboration and also the joint governance. Distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I will talk about the collaboration and also the governance under the network information age. We talk about actually we have the developed through the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, and then the innovation revolution. And innovation revolution actually brought by the connections, because that bring us to be connected faster and more consolidate. As Mr. Yao just introduced a multi-database collaboration, I believe that's also the good example of a connection. On the same day, actually, three things happened. Back to 1964, and we have the Great Moore's Row that's totally changed our society, our way of life, and will profoundly change our futures. The logic actually is basically we would like to bring the more facilities on the same the devices on the same circuit. We talk about the nano technologies. General Secretary Xi presided a cybersecurity conference on the April 19th, 2016, and also he mentioned that the development of the network should play a key role for going forward, and also General Secretary Xi also mentioned that we should establish and also bring China a strong nation in the establishment of the science and technology in the network application. And we also look at the three things happened in 2008. For the very first time, the population in the urban areas surpassed the number in the rural area, and also the users using the Wi-Fi surpassing the number of users using cables. And also we have seen these things can be connected. So we look at actually in the future that can be a end-to-end enterprises, digitally connected. So basically data in the middle to connect everything together. Very gradually, we have seen that the 3 million the sensors actually connected together, and we talk about that. We can foresee the future. We mean that the internet bring everything together. Actually, human being already actually connected, maybe by smartphones. We talk about actually without smartphone, we don't know how we can live our daily life. So we talk about that the internet basically connecting everything together. And the virtual real scenarios actually is further integrated. Then we talk about like the role of nodes that can play and how they can power everything is to be connected. Then we talk about under this background how that technologies can be utilized or leveraged, like the powers generated or produced by the nodes. So we talk about nodes because of its unique values and provide a connection service, but it's actually all have its own features. Any nodes actually also have its own capabilities and also the competitive advantages. That nodes maybe represents a good scientist, that maybe a scientific institute, maybe also a company or a certain region or even a country. So nodes can be represents anything that also can be considered as a node, and actually also can be an innovative event. Of course, as just now Mr. Shi mentioned, that the universities should also play a leading role in this regard. But we talk about the flagship or the pioneering enterprises, and also the top scientists actually will play a even more profound or the prominent role. So we look at the Moore's law application. So compared to the 50 years ago, right now, we need the 18-fold more of research headcount. And this is a circuit example, the cost of the 14 nano size. That's the fabrication plant that require the 13 billion RMB. So we talk about this is the production of the wafer. And we need more than 3,000 suppliers to support us. And also for the circuit industry, we have seen the key players, that's Intel, Samsung, Micron, SK. And we also look at the 2020 the Chemistry Prize of Nobel as the Nobel Prize shared by two scientists. Actually, they just discussed a common topic in a certain conference. So this is actually required the research results. So basically, just based on the normal communication, they just discuss a little bit, but later on, finally, like they received the Nobel Prize. So we talk about actually scientists also represents factors of production or the resources. So that also mean the connection for each scientist. There are also the nodes. So we talk about the connections. First of all, you need to have power, right? And second, we talk about the synchronize and also the attraction. You need to be attractive to others so they would like to join your connection, right? So right now, the trend is that actually connection happened worldwide. So this is an example from the semi-production. So along the industrial chain, this is actually, we have 25 countries joined the supply chain. So look at this is a huge result of that big connection. We talk about, let's say, smartphone, if produced in Japan. When it arrived the end consumer, that it traveled a long way. So it's actually past a 70 times of the border and also including the 3 time of global voyage. So why they travel a lot? Because that the production of the smartphone actually quite low. So they not really consider about this travel cost. So we talk about system actually is interdependent. But that system also actually is independable. So we talk about actually China emphasized that actually we should mobilize the resources across the country to make things done. Basically based on the different systems. If we put under the context of science and technologies, we talk about that each system actually have their own physical location, but actually it's also independence of operation. For each system, they cannot interfere the system's operation, but actually they're also the interconnected because different systems have their different functions. If we bring everything together, that will create that synergy that will finally produce a fast evolution of this technology or the science and science. We don't know what time actually is really the things change. We didn't know when was the last time we wrote a letter to others. But this is actually kind of a breakthrough happened. We talk about this is maybe a kind of a subversion, or that's maybe a profound changes. Yesterday on my way to Shanghai, I saw this example, and this is actually the article released on the newspaper. So the mom actually is a doctor. Actually, her son actually had a disease. We thought this is a progeria. So this is really technical. I didn't know the details. But this is basically show you the story behind. but they show you actually the love. It's not a love just between the mom and the son, but actually that's also involved different institutions, foundations, and they separate the disease gene and also use the FTI to separate the abnormal protein. So it's a really touching story, but actually also caused me to think about that what is really the main thing of the science innovation. I believe actually everything should be connected. But we should not only rely on the power of connection. We also need to think about where is the innovation direction. Of course, that should base on the demand and also the problem-driven area. We talk about like the size of the chips. So this is basically the different size. We look at 130 nano. But we talk about the different size of nanos actually can reach the same function or the same performance. So we look at the demand-driven and the problem-driven that can reach the same results. I believe actually if the demand and the problem work together, then maybe we can find a new way out. Actually, we can utilize the technology of 65 nanotechnology that can produce a higher performance. So for us, we use a quite low cost a size chips, but can produce a higher level of performance. But another way we need to think about the technological route. We talk about the application of Moore's law. 1965, when Moore introduced Moore's law. So basically, we like to bring the more devices to the same circuits. That's just one of the route mentioned by the Moore's law. So basically, we bring more devices on the same circuits that's further lower our cost. But actually, he also have another route, which was the PG3. That is the moon landing the projects. Basically, they change the structure, change the materials, or the patterns. Actually, no one really say that the CPU should look at these, and CPU, FPG could not join together. So I believe that's also the new opportunities presented to China. We believe that actually we have that capability to make it happen. And talking about design, before actually bought a lot of the other techniques, the design tools from others. So it's like us just keep running on the same highway, but certainly one day if the highway is blocked, then there's no way out. So we need to think about actually for the different architecture chips bring together, then where's the way out? We believe that is also the opportunity for us. And in the recent days, we also work with the institute in Chongqing. So we talk about the technological map, the roadmap actually very important to company, to the industry, and even to the country. And I would like to end my presentation by use this triangle that represents the roadmap of technology, the direction of innovation, and also the power of connection. So we talk about the a direction that's already laid out by General Secretary Xi. We will be the a front runner in the science and technology, and also to face people's the life and the security, and also actually we should work together to governance everything together based on a clear roadmap. I believe that should be owned by China. That's our own technological structures, our own technologies. Thank you.